Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Show Wizard. I'm going to take a look at farmlands for Farming Simulator 2019. Terrain editing window. Come down to where it says info layer painting. Switch over your info layer from Tipcoal to farmland. Activate it by turning on the terrain info layer paint mode. Chances are you'll probably end up with something like this depending on what sample mod map you're using. I would probably say, from what I've experienced so far with this system, it's easier to erase everything and start again. You can do that if you want. There's other people that have said it's easier to just edit by painting over what's already there, but I think it's easier to just take everything away because it's very difficult to see the terrain underneath it through the different colours. So taking it all away and starting again, you can see things much clearer over the map and how it needs to be painted down, but however you choose to do it is up to you. So I make my brush really big. I'll switch over to square brush like so, and then I'm just going to hold down my right mouse button and drag and remove the entire farmland layer values like so. I'll just make my brush small again, and then start with your layer value 1 by selecting info channel 0. You cannot select the layer values directly. If you do and then try and paint it down, it won't work. Let me try and show you. If I choose 10 for example and then paint that down, so we'll just paint that down like so, and then I'll choose 22 and paint that down. They're still both white, they haven't changed colour, and they should change colour when you choose different channels. So don't do it that way, just use this drop down here with the numbers for visual only, because that is what ID you need to enter in to the XML. Other than that, it serves no purpose. This was added into the beta version of the editor, so I think people were having trouble working out what the binary system here is for the info channel and how that is then converted over to decimal so it can be worked with in the XML. So that drop down there with all the numbers is literally just there as a visual to tell you what ID you need to work with in the XML. So if I'm on layer value 1, go into the farmlands XML, this will be ID 1 here, and then if I switch this over to layer value 2 and then go into the XML, this will be ID 2, and you can see now that I've actually changed some channels around. These have changed colour, but they are both the same colour because it didn't know what I wanted it to do, because selecting the numbers directly from here doesn't work. Possibly in a future update to the editor that might do, but for now it does not. So you have to work with your info channels. So selecting 0, I'm just going to make my brush big again and then just erase all of that, what I've put down. Really important, you need to paint the entire map with an info channel of some description. You cannot leave any pixels unpainted on the terrain because it will cause errors and things will stop working correctly. The actual farmland system works in conjunction with placeables and their triggers. Even things like the locomotive now is placeable, and if you don't paint a farmland area underneath the areas where the trains are going to work, the locomotives are going to work on the map, the barriers won't work. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on with the barriers, why they wouldn't work. And it was only then when I started to work with the farmland system, they suddenly started to work. So I realised at that point that they are all joined and linked in together. You have to have some kind of info channel painted over the entire map for it to work correctly, because it's tied into various other areas of the game mechanic. So with that in mind, choose your info channel 0 to give you layer value 1. I would work with them, just one by one. Try not to jump about too much because you will lose where you are. Believe me, I've done this like 50 times now. So just work with your layer values as you go up. Modding Welt, I believe, have put this together, or somebody on that forum has put this together. I'll put a link in the description to that post, and it gives you the layer values in the bits, and then your info channels in the bits, which is your binary system, and then your layer value, which is your ID in the decimal here. So pause the video, take a screenshot, whatever. This will really help you out working out what the info channels you need to select to get your appropriate layer value. So yeah, just go around the map as you need to. So find your first area that you want to work with and paint it in under layer value 1. I'm just going to do this really quickly. I'm not going to do the whole map. I'll be here all day. I just wanted to show very quickly how this system works. So just go over your area wherever you want to. Don't have to be, when you're starting off, you don't have to be too precise. And then what I would say is, because I've got roads and various other different things, I cannot see where the layer value, the mask of it, is being painted down on the map. So then I would come over to the scene graph here, select my roads, make them invisible by taking the tick box out of the visibility, and then deselect everything, and I can now see it much clearer, and that gives me a better way of then tidying up all of the edges like so. One thing I have come across quite regular when I'm doing this, don't use the back function or undo function or whatever else if you can avoid it, because on several occasions I used it and went into game after I had completed doing all the layer values and everything else, only to find I had errors all over the place, telling me I didn't have all pixels of the map painted with the layer value. And then when I came back in and checked everything, there was like one block, just one small pixel that wasn't painted correctly, and that was because I found when I used the undo function, it was erasing a very small area of one of the layer values, and that it seemed to be random. It could be anywhere on the map. So try not to use that if you can help it. If you make a mistake, just select the appropriate layer value that you need to make the change to, and then go over it again. So if I do this one, tidy this one up best I can here, like so, and we'll just join this up to the edge of the map. Now when I do this later on, around the border of the map, I will be doing something a little bit different, but that comes later on. And then once you've done the first one, select your layer value info channel 1, which will give you layer value 2, and then the first one will change color to show you that that's been done, and whatever else. The colors don't necessarily mean anything. There's no way of looking at the colors and going, well, that's layer value this and that's layer value that because it's green or pink or whatever. They are literally there just to show you what areas separate each area from each other, kind of thing. Other than that, it serves no purpose. So I'll come into this next one then and butt it up against the previous one. Like I said before, you must make sure that there's no gaps or no pixels unpainted. And then just join that like that. And where I made a mistake there, you'd go, oh yeah, right, undo button. No. If you come to the, hover your cursor over the one that you need to edit, Control R will then reselect that layer value for you, and you can make your edit like so, and then come back to the other one, Control R, and it will reselect this one again. So that is a very nice feature to be able to quickly edit and re-edit and whatever else, fix your fix things that you might have messed up like I just did there. So, and then just keep going over the entire map like this. When you're working potentially with a map that's got much smaller fields on it and things like that, I don't know if that's going to speed things up or probably make things a lot more time consuming, I would imagine, but for me this is not too bad on this map because everything's relatively flat and square. So again, just find your area that you want to come up to. So you might need to reactivate or make your roads visible again or whatever else, just to see where the borders are and whatever, so you can work with that. So I'm probably just going to come up to somewhere like maybe there. Might just come back a little bit. Something like that will do. And then just keep going around the entire map in the same fashion like this. Again, making sure that you paint every single area with an info channel of some description. Then once you've done the entire map, or wherever in whatever layer values you choose to do it in, and all the rest of it, you will need to identify where any triggers are on the map and separate them completely from the system, because they will cause problems if it has a layer value that is a purchasable land or will become a purchasable land. So what you'll need to do then is choose a layer value that you're not going to be working with. I would recommend 63. So select all of your info channels, which will give you layer value 63, and then wherever you've got triggers, like I'm going to have cell points here for the grain, which will then also double up with the locomotive triggers and whatever else. So just kind of like that, and then that will separate the link for the farmland system. This area here where the triggers are going to be will not be purchasable, and that way I won't then cause problems with the triggers. It will also prevent people from putting placeables down too close to the building here, which again could terraform the terrain and could cause possible problems with the triggers as well. So just find where triggers are, and then once you've painted down the map, put your layer value 63 in over that area, and that will cause or prevent some problems that could occur with those particular triggers. I would probably say that's something you want to do at the end, potentially. Just go over the entire map. So this is, and I'm going to choose 3 and then paint down again. So again, things like your ponds, lakes, whatever, you wouldn't potentially want those areas to be purchasable either. So I would paint my next area in here in a kind of broad way like this, cover the whole area. And again, I can't say this enough really, you need to make sure that the entire map, every pixel, is painted with some kind of an info channel, because otherwise, or a layer value, or however you want to refer to it as, because it will cause you errors. So we'll do this area here. And again, because I've erased everything, I can really easily just fix that by deleting the mistake there, because it's not joining to everything. So I don't have to be quite so precise as I'm doing the first parts here, but then when you get round to the other areas of the map, you get a bit more confined because you've got a lot of layer values or layer information around you. You'll need to be a little bit more careful when you do it. But so just keep going around, painting it in, finding out where you want to be with the get to your kind of point where you want to cut off. Something like that will do. And then just keep painting in, just keep laying down that layer value until you're happy with it. Like so. And again, once you've got all your layer values down, you'll come back around and find areas like this pond or whatever you want to call that there. Choose your layer value 63 again. Adjust your brush size to whatever you need to. And your brush type, so you might want to go to round brush for example. And then just paint in the area like so. Because I wouldn't want that to be purchasable. And again, with your triggers around certain cell points, so you would then possibly, do that, and then just put down an area here in the layer value 63 around this trigger, like so. So again, that's now going to be designated as a non-purchasable area because I won't link this layer value in the XML. So then, just go over the entire map however you want to do it. Things like your dealership and things like that, you again, because this has triggers on it, you're going to want to set this up as layer value 63. So I would come into here and just kind of, paint down all around this area in the layer value 63 to make sure that there's no way this could be purchased. Again, that will then double up for prevention of putting placeables down and things like that in the area. You can also work with the tip coal system, because that also now, to my understanding, doubles up as a collision for placeables, so it prevents you putting placeables down where there are tip coals laid, once you've painted that down. So you could potentially put your layer value down for your farmland, and then you would match that with whatever for your tip coal as well. So something like that. And then, that just gives you a nice border around the dealership so that that's not going to be a placeable, and again with triggers and things like that. But I would probably say the easiest way to do it would be go over the entire map with all of your different layer values. So starting with 1 and going up to however many you need to work with, and then go back over the map and find areas that you don't want to have purchasable, switch to layer value 63 and paint those areas in. So once you're done with all of that and you're happy with all of the layer values and whatever else and however it's put down, you just save. Just saving the map. There's no scripts that need to be run or anything like that, like the tip coal. You don't need to run any kind of scripts or whatever else. Just save the map. This will update the GRLE for the density channel for all of the layer values and whatever else. Then remembering what layer values you have worked with. So if, for example, you've painted down 37 layer values, you need to then go into your farmlands XML and put the IDs, which are your layer values, up to 37, adjust your price scaling, adjust your NPC that you want to have control that area. Also, you're going to need to potentially define an area on the map that you want to have as your default farm property for new farmer mode. So for example, I possibly would have this area here as my new farmer mode default property. So I would choose the appropriate layer value for here and then go into the XML. So for argument's sake, let's say that this is layer value 5, and I will paint this area in. So I'll just do that really quickly. So I'll just paint this area in like so. That's my default property with my farm building and potentially a grain silo or whatever else. Now I'll go into the XML and put the default property, default farm property equals true against ID 5. And then that will designate that as my default property when I get into game in new farmer mode only. It won't be relevant for any other farming mode. And that's really all you need to do. It sounds really simple, but it's not. In my opinion, it's very time consuming. You potentially will have to do this many times. I've had to do it like 20 times already on this map that I'm converting from 17. I've had quite a lot of issues with errors telling me that I haven't painted all the areas of the map, but I have. And like I said before, With the locomotives, I've had problems with triggers not working properly because of the farmland system. I wish you the best of luck with it. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, just keep going through it, painting down your areas, linking it all into the XML, and then you'll have your farmland system down on the map and your purchasable areas and whatever else. I'm Shell Wizard. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.